AST 2016. This is interviews, music reviews, and more. This is The Hodder Show.
What is up, everybody? We're rolling audio here today on episode 376 of The Hodder Show. I hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. Thank you so very much for tuning in and clicking that play button on today's episode of the podcast. It's time for another edition of what is quickly become the most requested segment of the show, Ask Hodder Anything. And we have some really great questions. I usually have great questions, but there's some questions in this batch that I've definitely never spoken about on the show. Some topics that I've never spoken about on the show. So I'm really excited to dive into those. I like to do these every couple of months. It's usually not usually a lot of fun. It's always a lot of fun. But I just really felt like doing one, and someone requested it the other day and were like, why don't you make this a more regular thing? And I was like, you know what? Why don't we do one this week? Before we get into that, though, I want to thank everybody for their support on last week's episode of the show, my chat with dark fiction and horror writer Matt Michelli. Really, really fun conversation with him. If you did not check out his book, please do so. 2 Minutes with the Devil. It's a fantastic book. Go pick it up. And leave a review. Let him know what you thought of it. Matt's a great guy, and we had just as much fun talking off air than we did talking on air. So Matt, thank you very much for all the support, man. I appreciate you. And with that, we're ready to roll into this edition of Ask Hodder Anything. Let's get into it. It's funny how much people seem to really enjoy these. So it's really it's fun for me because I get to turn things over to you guys, and you get to ask your questions. And I have a great bunch of questions here, the majority of which are from my Discord. I'm not going to lie, because my Discord peeps are kind of the diehards. I think it's pretty obvious. So I do have a couple questions outside of Discord, but I do have the majority of them are from my Discord. So once again, folks, I stress, if you want to be a bigger part of the show in the community, check out the Discord. We have a lot of fun over there. Try to go live as often as possible and hang out, and we share memes and all that stuff. So, and you'll see from some of these questions what a great, entertaining group of people that we have over there. And also, these are some really great, I always get great questions, but some of these, like, I'm going to get into stuff I've definitely never spoken about on the show, or at least I haven't for a long time. So it's really fun, but let's just start jumping in head first here. We have 2 questions first off from CM. CM, I hope that your trip to across the pond was a lot of fun. Hopefully we get to catch up soon about that. If you could only watch one movie and only listen to one song, what would it be? Oh God, what would they be? Oh boy. See, the movie's really hard for me, CM, because I'm not really a movie guy. I'm not someone who, loves certain movies. I guess, damn, that's really hard for a movie. Probably have to go with, damn. That's a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. I was like, oh, I'll think of something. Probably going to have to go with like Star Wars. I guess give me either Return of the Sith, Revenge of the Sith, good Lord, or Return of the Jedi. One of the two. Because I like those. I love Empire Strikes Back as well, but I like Attack of the Clones too, for a number of reasons, but I'm probably going to have to say Revenge of the Sith. I say that having not watched it in a very long time, so I might change my mind, but yeah, probably that. Probably some Star Wars movie. I don't know. Movies are really, really, really hard. TV is easy. As far as the song, if I could listen to one more song for the rest of my life, that's another really hard one, Sam. You're bringing the heat. Probably Nutshell by Alice in Chains. because I just love that song. And here's the tricky part, though. Would I pick the studio version or the acoustic version? Probably the studio version because of that guitar solo. I love that guitar solo. Honorable mention also probably goes to songs like Someday by Nickelback, because I listen to it so much. Hero by Jack Kroger. Awake by Godsmack. There's tons of them. I could throw in there. Bunch of stuff from Stained. Like there's just so many bands I could throw in there, but probably Alice in Chains, Nutshell, would be the one if that's the only thing I could listen to. I'll think about the movie thing more. Maybe I'll come up with something better. Probably not, though. What do you want people to remember about you when you're gone? This is a really interesting one, CM, because at the end of the day, I want to believe that we all want to be remembered as good people. You know, I want to believe that we all, when we're gone, we want people to speak highly of us. We don't want people to be like, it sucks that he's dead, but he was an asshole. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think anyone wants that. I think I want to be remembered as just being a good person, just being that TJ guy. Yeah, he was all right, man. He was one of the good ones. That's what I want to be remembered by. As far as from a grander stage of things, I would love to be remembered for my work in this realm, as being an entertainer in some way, shape, or form, as being a creative person. I think that's something that I think most creative people want to be remembered for their art, so to speak, I guess. So I guess you could say that. But also in the grand scheme of things, I'm very aware that, we're all kind of a splash in the pan too. So there's those people. I think actually Brandon, from producer of the Hodder Show, said it best to me one time where he was like, actually it was on the 5th year anniversary special, which if you haven't checked that out, you should go check it out. It's a really interesting piece of audio and video content. Just watch the video because it's a lot better. Because that was during the era where I was focusing more on video than I was on audio. But it's like 3.5 hours long. But if you have some time to kill, that's a really interesting episode to go watch. There's a lot of really cool moments on there. But during that, he said to me that, what would you rather be remembered by? As this guy who like had this huge podcast, or like as almost like a cult following where there's people making YouTube videos about how influential you were and how like you should have been bigger and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what? I'll take the latter. I'd rather be that it's like talking about a band. This band should have been bigger. They were so influential on so many people, blah, 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 blah. I'd rather be remembered for that and being a good guy than like, oh, he's the biggest podcaster in the world. Because I don't want that anyway, because I think that sounds like a pain in the ass. But that's probably it. But at the end of the day, it's being a good person. So thank you for those questions, CM. We have a few questions here from Rose. Favorite theme park and ride. So Rose, this is really funny because little known fact about old TJ's, I fucking hate roller coasters. I hate them. I will not get on one. There's not a lot of things in this life I will not even just remotely do. Especially like, say, for example, like if Sam wants to do something, I'm usually pretty down for anything. But when it comes to adrenaline seeking stuff, no bueno. We went on a roller coaster. I liked them when I was younger, obviously, but I think it was like 3 years into Sam and I dating. We went to Canada's Wonderland, which is the big theme park here in Canada. And they have this massive, crazy roller coaster called Leviathan. And anyone who knows Leviathan who's hearing this right now is probably laughing. That was the first roller coaster I'd been on since I was a kid. And aside from going on like the Scrambler at the State Fair, like I don't do rides. So so we go on this roller coaster and like I am just no fun was had. Like, I just was panicking, freaking out. I was cold and clammy. Like, I was just, the adrenaline overload was too much for me. And we got off that roller coaster and I fucking puked for the rest of the day. I just could not calm myself down. And I just realized it's the whole thing of, I don't like not being in control of the situation, regardless of what it is. That's why I'm not a big, the idea for so long of me getting high or anything was like, I was so against it, because I was like, well, I'm not going to be in control, you know? And then I come to discover with like just doing a moderate amount, I can still function if I need to. And I'm not like powerless against something. That's why you'll never see me do like psychedelics or anything or things of that nature. Cause it's just, I don't like not being in control, if that makes any sense. So for that reason, I like roller coasters. So I guess if I had to pick a favorite ride, I mean, ride in general, I do like the scrambler at the fairs, you know, those ones that go around and they like swing. Those are fun. The scrambler's fun, but it's not really a theme park. I like water parks enough. I'll do slides. As long as it's a fucking slide and it's not a sheer drop into water, because I've been on those too and I'm not a fan. I want to slide. I want to go wee, not ah. I don't want that. That's actually a John Panette bit. Rest in peace, John Panette. Phenomenal comedian. So hopefully that answered that question. What is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow? So I almost wasn't going to answer this, but I think that it's important because I have answered this before on the show. Anytime someone asks this, I'm going to make sure I give them the answer because it's very important information to know. So apparently, according to interestingengineer.com, the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow, European, is something around 20.1 miles per hour, or for those of us who don't use miles, 32.4 kilometers per hour, or 29.5 feet per second, 9 meters per second. However, some have been clocked as fast as 46 miles per hour or 74 kilometers per hour, which is pretty wild. They're pretty fast little buggers. I didn't know that about them. So hopefully that answers that question about the old unladen swallow. For the record, I do know that's a Monty Python joke. I take things very literal. What will your road trip cooler be packed with? Okay, let's get into the food. So my lovely wife and I are preparing for a trip out to the east coast of Canada. It's going to be really fun, but the trip down there is about 18 hours in the car. Then we're going to be on a ferry for 8 hours. And then we have like 4 more of an hour drive once we're off to get to our first hotel, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. So we need snacks and food in the cooler. So we're going to do sandwiches. We're going to do a bunch of different sandwiches, but we're going to have the stuff to make the sandwiches. So they're not going to be like, we're going to pack like tuna, egg salad, ham, lunch meat, some lettuce, cheese, stuff like that. And then also I think we're going to cook some bacon up and some eggs up. And we're going to have that like ready to go. So we can just, bam, make a little bacon sandwich, a little egg sandwich. We'll just have to find a way to heat it up. I just realized that's not going to work. So maybe we'll have to think of something else. Then we're going to have lots of drinks, obviously. We're going to have I'm obsessed with these like pizza buns right now when we get it from the store. They're like a pizza cheese bun. You're supposed to heat them up, but I fucking love them cold. I'm obsessed with them right now. Like I'll eat the whole damn pack if I'm hungry enough. I love them. So I'll probably have those, maybe like some cheese stick things. Definitely lots of beef jerky and meat sticks, stuff like that. lots of nuts, things of that nature, some fruit. We're going to cut up some fruit. We're going to try and have a lot of different stuff. And then, as we go places, we're going to probably pick things up too, So, yeah. Lots of, and we're probably going to have some THC drinks as well in the old cooler for the trip over, because we're going to be exhausted and it's an overnight ferry trip. So we're thinking, why don't we just a little THC drink and just knock out. I think that's the plan. So if I'm not doing anything and I'm just sitting in this seat, I'm going to be like, okay, time for bed. So yeah, that's what's going to be in the cooler, I think. In all of your schooling, who was the teacher who had the most impact on you and why? So this is interesting. So I'm going to come at this from both angles. The teacher who had the most influence on me as far as almost impact me in a bad way, because I think it's a really interesting story to tell. The teacher's name was Mr. Dewhurst, and he was a fine teacher or whatever. Like it wasn't anything to do with that. It was just a decision that he made regarding our grade 8 music class that made me not want to take music in high school. Like fully 100%, because I was like, what's the point? I was already playing guitar at that point, and I wanted to learn more. And in our music class, there was guitar or bass. And I said to him, like, look, like, I have actually begun to learn the instrument. I really want to learn theory. I want to do all this stuff. Like, can I please play it? And someone else had already taken it. But they were like, they would like sit there and wait for like a moment, and they just start like making a shitload. Like they couldn't play the guitar at all. And he was like almost like in denial about it. Like he was like, oh, well, they've already picked it. And like, it was really silly. And like the band sucked. Like we all, like none of us were really that great, but I was playing like the trombone. And because I had such an attitude about it, like I didn't learn how to play the instrument, which I kind of regret that now. I wish I would have tried a little harder. I was just, I was a kid and I wasn't getting my way, but also I was upset because I genuinely was like, I actually want to learn how to play this instrument. And like, I want to be a part of the school band. Like, I don't want to just sit there and wait for a moment that's going to be really disruptive and then just go, because like they would turn the amp on and crank the gain up and stuff. And they were just being stupid about it. Like the two guys that were always just being stupid about it. So I do have some resentment towards that because it made me kind of fall out of love with music. After my grade 6 teacher, Mr. Jack, did so much for me as far as with my love of music, my confidence as a person. I was dealing with a lot of bullying. My 5th grade year was one of the worst I ever had for bullying. It was like, yeah, it was pretty bad. And that's actually where it all kind of came to a head near the end of the year there. So heading into grade 6, I was in this weird thing where like the people who were usually bullying me were like basically told, if you bully this guy again, you're going to be like suspended, because it got pretty fucking bad. And he kind of went out of his way, and I was a weird kid, learning disability, so like he just always went out of his way to be super supportive and nice. And he taught me a lot about just how to be a person. And he taught me a lot about music, and yeah, he was very influential on me in that way. And I will never, ever forget that. And then another teacher, I can't actually remember her name, and I always forget her name, and I always feel terrible because she was the special education teacher at my high school, and I was someone who desperately needed help with my learning disability. And she was just the most patient person, and she always pushed me in certain directions as far as like math was never my strong suit. It still isn't. So she would see me get so frustrated because I just wouldn't be understanding something, or science or whatever it is. But she found out pretty quickly that like I seemed to have some kind of a knack for writing, in some way. So she always really pushed me in that direction. You know, she'd be like, you know, why don't you approach it from this way? Or why don't you, like, it'd be like, oh, I have to do an assignment, excuse me, on something for science. And she would always be like, well, write out what you want to do. What do you think this should be? So like, she taught me to approach things from that, almost like a way of me writing out what I think this should be, instead of just trying to dive in head first. She basically taught me planning, if that makes any sense. I'm kind of convoluted in my point here, but she taught me how to see things from a different way, but then also she really encouraged my writing. So did my English teacher in 12th grade. I can't remember her name as well. I feel terrible. But they both did big time. And now it's kind of hilarious looking back, because like my English teacher, I came into it with not a great attitude with English. I was like, I just wanted to be done high school at that point. Like my 12th grade year, I don't like to live without a lot of regret, but I do wish I could go back and redo my 12th year in high school, just because like I knew I wasn't going to college at that point. I just knew I was just done with school. So I was like, my attitude was just get me the fuck out of here. I really wish I would have tried a little harder in general, just because I didn't really try that hard, if I'm being honest. I did okay in math. I did okay in English and gym and stuff, but like mainly like science. And then I had like a computers class. Like I think I got like a 52 in computers class, and everyone else got like in the 80s. Like, how the fuck did I do that? You know what I mean? Because I just didn't care. But my English teacher, I remember we had to write an essay on something, and I just crapped out this essay. You know, it was, I didn't think it was that great. And I got one of the highest marks I ever received in high school. And she was like, she sent on the thing, see me after class. And she was like, I had no idea you were such a gifted writer. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, you're a really good writer. Because she was also the creative writing teacher in my high school, which is a course that I don't want to say I was told not to take it, but I kind of was told not to take it because I wouldn't be up to snuff to do it. And it was too late at that point to take it, but she was like, you should have taken this class. Like, you could be a writer. Like, you have it in you. And I was like, oh, that would have been nice to know, because my other English teachers always just talked about how my grammar's always been terrible. My spelling's always been terrible. Like, and it wasn't really until very recently, the last 2 or 3 years, that I've definitely gotten a lot better. I'm still not great, but I've definitely gotten a lot better. But it's taken the majority of my life to get over that and remember okay, what is the right there to use and stuff. And it's taken a long time to get a hold of all that. And where does this, this comma go? Where should it go? Not just where I think it should go, but it's where should it actually go? You know, stuff like that, which is, fucking elementary school stuff. But hey, I could never figure it out. So, the whole creative writing thing is, I do have regrets of that a lot. Because it was interesting to see what my life would have turned out if I had taken that course. I probably would have never done anything with it, but it would have been cool to take it. So definitely they had a lot of impact on me. Mr. Jack, one of the biggest impacts on me. I was very fortunate to have a lot of great teachers. So that's, yeah. And Mr. Dewhurst, unfortunately, not in a great way, but, the guy was just doing his best. I can look back on it and be like, yeah, he's just doing his best, trying to keep a room of 8th graders fucking happy. I can't imagine that's an easy task. So, see, look at that, guys. I think I just got over some resentment I had there. Or at least I try to. I try not to live with resentment. But anyway, moving on. Thank you very much for those questions, Rose. Especially that last one. That was That was a thinker. That was fun to explore. Thank you for that. Next group of questions here we have is from Adam. If you had to give the birds and the bees speech, how would you describe it in terms of video games? Oh, God. I'd probably go old school. You know, I'd be like, say I'm talking to my son, I'd be like, son, listen. There comes a time in every man's life where he's going to want to take his cartridge and put it inside some nice young lady's game console. And that's okay. Or you could take your cartridge and want to put it with another man's cartridge, or you could, whatever you decide, whatever you want to do, that's cool. Go with me. You just want to make sure that you're both ready and that you both want this, regardless. All parties involved are cool with this and they want this to happen. You can't just go shoving your cartridge in places that it doesn't belong, because that's just a big no-no. Now, before you put your cartridge inside the console, you might need to blow on it a little bit. Okay, it's very important. You might want to blow on it a little bit, get it ready. And sometimes, if you're having some difficulty, you might need to apply some, they had the spray stuff back in the day, at least for the N64. You could spray it was like a cleaner. You could spray that. So I'd be like, hey, you got to take this and clean it up. And sometimes you could even go as far as they had this little cartridge cleaner thing that you could use you'd shove it in the game console slot and it would like clean that. So I'd be like, or you can take that, you can shove it in there a couple times first and get it warmed up for the cartridge, and then in you go, you know? And I think that's about all I got, Adam. That was a lot harder than I thought it was. I saw that question. It was like, oh, this is going to be fun and easy. And I got nothing. I got nothing for it, man. I apologize. Hopefully that at least made you laugh a little bit. If someone made a joke about your wife, how would you react? Example, what happened to Will Smith? Like, I didn't like the joke. Damn, well, it depends on who made it. If it was like someone I care about and they maybe made a joke that like I know just was just in bad taste, it didn't land quite right, as long as they're not an asshole about it, I would just be like, hey, like, okay, like, let's not say things like that about my wife, you know. But if it was like some random person, I definitely would be happy. There'd be a confrontation for sure. I don't think I would walk up to him, slap him in the face like Will Smith did, but depending on his reaction to the conversation, I might. Sam doesn't need me to defend her honor or anything, but I wouldn't be able to help it. I'd be like, you know, the old keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth. Like that would definitely probably come out of me for sure. So yeah, so I wouldn't react well. Let's just say that. If you had to describe your face, what movie title would you use? Oh God, A Series of Unfortunate Events. I know that's technically not, like I said, it was a movie. So yeah, A Series of Unfortunate Events. That's or like disaster movie or something clever like that. Or a movie that was just a train wreck. Or train wreck. Let's just say train wreck. Let's just go with train wreck. So either A Series of Unfortunate Events, which is the title of my sex life, or from Sam's point of view anyway, or train wreck. Let's say train wreck. I like that. That's good. If you had an office job, what would it be? It's funny you asked that, Adam, because I was just having this conversation the other day with Sam. It would probably be in sales of some kind. I wouldn't be happy at it for sure. That's really hard. I want to say if I could choose something, it would be like something in like the music business world, like working at like not necessarily like in the music business, bro, but like say for example working like at like a company that like sells music gear or stuff like that, working an office job there, working sales or something like that with my little cubicle, something like that. I could really see myself doing that. I still don't think I'd be happy, but you know, I think that's it's not too much of a stretch for me, if that makes sense. Because in some ways, I kind of sort of had an office job at gigs. Like there was a lot of similarities. I got to move around the store and have more freedoms than I would at an office job. But like I did admin work and stuff like that, and I took inventory and things I think you would generally do at an office job. So yeah, answered phones, stuff like that. So I think that probably it. Be that one there. So yeah. Thank you very much, Adam, for those questions. I got a few questions here from M. Not to be confused with CM, just M. How are you liking Nightmares and Dreamscapes? Do you plan on picking up more Stephen King books? So for those of you who don't know, I posted on my Discord and on social media there like 2 or 3 days ago, Stephen King's Nightmares and Dreamscapes, which is a collection of short stories of his. I think it's his third one that he did. And I went into this bookstore looking specifically for his first collection of short stories called Night Shift. And they didn't have it, but they had this nice big first edition of this book. I'm looking at it right now, Nightmares and Dreamscapes. And to be honest, I haven't actually, I picked through some of the stories the day I got it. And what I read, I thought was cool, but I haven't had a chance to sit down and really start reading it. I'm kind of think I'm saving it for my trip out east because I think there's like 10 or 12 different short stories in there. So I can pretty much sit down and read that on the ferry and get through the whole thing. I also have a bunch of other novellas that I'm waiting to read as well for the trip. So it's cool. I'm really excited. I'm definitely planning on picking more up. I'm hoping that I can find a first edition of Night Shift. I want to get the first edition because I don't know. I just think it's cool to have reprints are cool and everything. And worst case scenario, if I can't find the first edition, that's like priced all right. Which I've seen them around. Like I know they're not like abnormal to get a hold of. They're just either going to be in really bad shape or they're going to be really expensive. I don't care if mine's in bad shape as long as I can still read it. This one just happened to be in really good shape and it was $6. So I was like, I'm going to get this. But yeah, so definitely Night Shift is one. And then after that, I don't know what I'm going to get from Stephen King. I don't think I'm ever going to be a someone who sits down and reads like an entire Stephen King book. That's like a full novel. I don't think that's going to be me. I think I'm going to be more of the short story guy. I'll probably get more collections of his short stories. There's a bunch more that they had there at the store. I really want to read his book on writing. It's just called Stephen King on Writing. I'd like to read that book and learn some more about writing. I think it'd be really cool. But yeah, definitely going to pick some more up. What horror movie surprised you with how much you enjoyed it? So there's two that comes to mind. One is Smile, which was from last year. I knew, actually that's a lie. I knew I was going to like Smile just because of the concept of it. The whole, the thing that shouldn't be scary or unpleasant being super scary and unpleasant. I love that shit, man. I that's some of my favorite kind of horror. Horror in the daytime too, like jump scares and stuff in the middle of the day. I think that stuff's so good. I didn't think I was going to like 1408 as much as I did. Speaking of Stephen King, I didn't think, I thought it was gonna be okay, but the movie was so hyped up. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna enjoy it as much as people say I'm going to. And I was thoroughly proven wrong because I loved 1408. I thought it was fan-freaking-tastic. Also, the remake of It. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I'm surprised how much I loved the oh my gosh, I can't remember the actor's name who plays Pennywise, but I didn't think I'd like the redone version of Pennywise because I am such a fan of the original. But I did really like it. Bill Skarsgård. I really enjoyed it. I loved his portrayal of Pennywise. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. What's a piece of internet horror media that scared you the most? I.e., creepypastas, narration, pictures, videos, etc. Okay. Ooh, interesting. So I'll give you one answer for each, Em. So picture, the first time that I saw the Russian sleep experiment creepypasta picture, which is, if you know the picture, you know why I think it's terrifying. Because I didn't know what it was when I first saw it. I was just like, what the hell is that? Like, that is terrifying. Then you know, figure out like, oh, it's a internet story, you know, and then I read it and I was like, this is terrifying. So that's definitely as far as, but as far as from a picture standpoint, the picture itself, it just freaked me the hell out. For video, you know what? I can give you an answer because there's something I saw literally 2 weeks ago that I saw it at like 2 a.m. and I had trouble sleeping. There's an artist on Instagram. He's a 2D and 3D artist. And his name is Max Verheyen. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Max, Maxverheyen. And he does 2D and 3D art. He does these 3D videos that are super, super well done. But one specifically that freaked me the fuck out was called Chimes. And if you go on his page, or if you go on the Dread Files Instagram, I did share the video with credit to him. It's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. Just because of how real it feels. Like it's really, really well done. This guy's just as good as freaking like Hollywood. In some regards, I think he's better, actually. So that's a video for sure. As far as a creepypasta narration type thing, for creepypastas, I'm gonna include SCPs in that because there's two I'm gonna give you. SCP 3935, The Thing A Quiet Madness Made. It is a SCP/horror story. For those who don't know what SCP is, it's like science fictional horror type stuff. Check it out. It's fantastic. I listened to that on SCP Archives when I was at a school working. And I was not prepared because up to that point, none of them had like scared me. Like there wasn't any that were like super terrifying. So I saw The Thing A Quiet Madness Made, turned it on, and then I was like halfway through it, and I'm like looking out like the dark windows of the school that I'm in, and I'm like, oh, this is fucking terrifying. Like, it's definitely one of the freakiest SCPs, I think, anyway, by a lot. And the narration is just so well done. Oh my gosh, it's so well done. Huge shout outs to Atticus Jackson in that one. I love his work as Ellis. Everyone involved is fantastic, but specifically near the end, there is a scene between Agent Ames, which is played by Pacific S. Obadiah, the guy behind the podcast, and then Mrs. Fletcher, who is played by Sarah Golding. And Sarah Golding's portrayal of the Mrs. Fletcher, who is a elderly woman who has a lot of memory loss and stuff, a little bit of dementia, unfortunately, I think, happening. Damn, it was really well done from the standpoint of like, you feel bad for her because they told everyone that, all the stuff you see and the freaky shit you experience was from like a gas leak or something. And that's not the case. And like, I think she kind of knows that, but like, she's like lying to herself. And just, it is absolutely fucking terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. Just, yeah, I can't recommend it enough. It's, very good. Bunch of the SCP stuff is fantastic, but The Thing of Quiet Madness made, definitely the one that freaked me out the most. And one more that I want to give some credit to. There is a Reddit no sleep story that was kind of, I didn't think it was going to unsettle me. And I think it mainly unsettled me because of where I was while I was listening to a narration of it done by none other than Shudder Radio, my buddy Mike. The story is called A Trucker Told Me a Story That He Heard from His Dad. And basically, to give you a really, really, really bland, quick synopsis, this guy's in a truck with a truck driver. He was giving him a ride. And the truck driver tells him about, how like there was this thing that his dad saw while they were driving. And it was this like towering shadow that was grinning at them from like above the trees. And his dad was like, don't look at it. Don't look at it. And then like his dad ends up dying from the creature or whatever. So then as they are, driving and he's telling him this story about it, they both realize that they both see it, but they don't acknowledge it. Because as he's being told the story, the protagonist, by the truck driver who knows that he sees it as well, who was told by his father, it's like, hey, don't look at it. Don't acknowledge it. Because if you do, it's going to basically kill us. And so they both just kind of acknowledge it. And they're in this kind of terrifying silence about it. And as I was listening to that, I was walking Luna along this trail by our place here. And there's these super tall trees, and it just freaked me the fuck out. So, yeah, that's one that comes to mind. There's tons of stories I've read and narrations that have like freaked me out and that I've had to like turn off and shit. But that's, I didn't turn this one off, but it gave me the old heebie-jeebies quite a bit. So hopefully that answers that question, Em. Thank you for that. That was fun. And also, last but not least from M, what's going on with Taped with Trepidation? Okay, so stay tuned. That's all I'm going to say, really. Stay tuned. Some cool stuff's coming late in the summer / early fall. Something's in the works, and it's terrifying, but in the best of ways. So just stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, you can catch Taped with Trepidation over on the Hodder Show Patreon. So something to consider in the meantime. I've got a bunch of questions here from Tim from Greensboro, who is, of course, one of my main question askers here on the Hodder Show, all the way from Greensboro. What is your favorite wrestling rivalry? Probably going to have to go with the tag team triangle of Edge and Christian, the Hardy Boys, and the Dudley Boys. I just love, because I'm such a big fan of the Hardy Boys, I love all that. But also the rivalry in WCW between just Dean Malenko and Rey Mysterio. I thought they had just fantastic matches. It was so believable, and just, yeah, Dean was the man. So I think those are a couple that stand out for me. As far as modern day, I really liked the stuff that was going on between Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. I thought that was great in the way it all ended. And yeah, those are a few there. 5 desert island records. Oh, geez, this is really hard. But okay, all right. Alice in Chains Dirt. Alice in Chains Unplugged. Godsmack's Awake. Probably going to go with Stain's Break the Cycle. And then, I got to pick a Nickelback one. Oh, boy. Probably The Long Road. I love The Long Road. So, there's 5. That actually wasn't that difficult. I'm sure I'd change out some of them, but those are definitely a few. Cold's Year of the Spider definitely gets a shout out too, because I love that record and still play it all the time. But those are 5 pretty nicely diverse records, because there's some stuff on that Nickelback record that's more like kind of just like rock and roll. So it'd be nice to have that diversity. And then obviously the acoustic live stuff, the heavier stuff from Godsmack and Stained, the emotional stuff from Stained and Alice in Chains Unplugged. Round that out pretty nicely. Oh, we're going to play a little game of Marry, Fuck, Kill, Wrestling Edition. Oh, God. So we got Hulk Hogan, Macho Man Randy Savage, and The Ultimate Warrior. Fuck, Marry, Kill. This one's pretty easy for me. I'm going to kill the Warrior because, kill the Warrior because I have no use for him. I'm gonna say fuck the Macho Man because I just want him to go, ooh yeah, dig it. I think that'd be fun. And I'm gonna marry Hulk Hogan just so every day I can start off my day with what's up, brother? Because you gotta know that Hulk Hogan probably says what's up, brother to his significant other every day. I just can you just gotta promo on me every single morning when I enter the room? Like, well, let me tell you something, dude. I've been sitting here waiting for these eggs for 5 days and 30 nights. It's like, okay, yeah, all right. That'd be great. What is your spirit animal? Oh, God. What's the laziest animal? What's the fattest, laziest animal? So, I guess a sloth, but I don't think I'm a sloth though. I think I'm like an old bear or something. I'm like an old fat grizzly bear. It's just hibernating all the time. And then he shows up and he's like, fuck, I gotta go do stuff. I think that's probably me. I feel like. Well, maybe an old fat bulldog or something. Just sitting there drooling all over himself. That checks out too. Favorite live show / wrestling event / play that you've ever experienced? Oh man. Well, as far as a wrestling event, I went to go see one of the local companies, Chinlock Wrestling, do this really big event a few years ago. It was my first one I went to for them, and it was amazing. I saw WWE in that same building, and Chinlock sold more than them, and I enjoyed the show a lot more. But I also got to see my buddy Sam do some stuff, so that was really cool for me. But I really, really enjoyed that. I did see WWE in another town, and it was great. Not Sheamus, excuse me. Cesaro pointed at me. That was pretty cool. As far as live show, seeing Alice in Chains. You know what? I'm going to say seeing Alice in Chains at a casino. As much as seeing them for the first time was amazing, and then seeing them with Sam for the first time, because I was so emotional, and she captured a picture of that actually. I'm gonna have to try and see if I can find that. Maybe I'll use that for the description for the photo for this episode. There's a picture of me crying watching Alice in Chains. But seeing them at Casino Rama was incredible because it was a really small venue. It was a pretty small crowd, and you could tell like there was a lot of people in the crowd who like didn't really like, they were just there because it was free for them because they were like big rollers or whatever. So you could tell Alice in Chains kind of stopped caring in a good way. And they just started playing. They like pulled out some really deep cuts. And I was like yelling at the top of my lungs, and like no one else knew what the songs were. They played Acid Bubble, for God's sakes, off of Black Gives Way to Blue, which is my second favorite Alice in Chains record, by the way. So that was really, really cool. As far as a play, I guess Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, because I haven't really seen a lot of plays, but I did really like that one. Back to food here with what are your thoughts on grilling and smoking meat? I'm all for it. If I had I miss barbecuing and grilling so much, man. Oh my God, I miss it so much. It was something I didn't realize I missed until I couldn't do it anymore. So I'd love to get back into doing it. I'd love to be someone who smoked meat too, because I loved smoked meat of all kinds, making beef jerky and stuff like that. I'd love to be able to do all that. I can't because I'm living in an apartment building and I don't have a balcony or anything. But I'd love to do that. I'm all for it, man. I think it's cool. There's nothing like a nice grilled steak. The quickest way to win me over is to grill me a really good burger, but also nice smoked meat sandwich or something. Like, oh, that's just fantastic. Are you a soda drinker? And what's your soda of choice? I am a drinker of pop, and my favorite pop is Diet Coke. A little sody pop humor there, Canadian humor there for you. I like my Diet Coke for sure. I'll drink Diet Pepsi, but Diet Coke is for sure my favorite, like by quite a bit more. But then again, sometimes I just really want a Diet Pepsi. So I don't know, maybe it's not by far my favorite. Maybe sometimes I maybe I like them equally sometimes, but Diet Coke. You know what? Here's the move, folks. You go to a convenience store that has like the drink machines, and if they have crushed ice, oh, you get the crushed ice in there, nice cold Diet Coke into that. You're laughing. That's my shit right there. That's my favorite drink in the world, basically, right now, right there. Crushed ice, big gulp cup. But it's got to be the foam cups, not the other one. The foam cups stay colder better. I don't know why they stopped. I guess they stopped because styrofoam's really bad for the environment and everything. I'm all for it. I don't really care that much, but the styrofoam cups definitely kept things colder with that crushed ice in there. Oh, that jerk would be cold like 3 hours later, bro. So good. Would you die if you visited a tropical climate because Canada is so cold? I mean, it ain't that cold here. We were at the same temperature as a bunch of places in the States the other day. It's not that cold. But I mean, I just don't like the heat. So yes, I would probably die. But I'd get used to it. We do want to go somewhere warm. We want to go on a cruise as well. It's like we can do some sightseeing, but then also we can just lay around and sunbathe and eat food and drink. Because I think that'd be a lot of fun. I think I'd be okay. I'd get over it eventually. It would just take some time. Probably take me a couple of days to really acclimate to the heat. You know, because I don't like being hot. I don't like the sweat. I'm like a polar bear. I want to be just cold. Wrap me up in a blanket and be cold. That's how I sleep too. So like, you know, it's pretty quintessential fat guy stuff, really. Sorry if you can hear the dog barking in the background, guys. That's our new neighbor, and their dog likes to just randomly start barking for no reason. So that's fun. But anyway, I'm just going to have to move on here because I've been sitting waiting for it to stop barking for like 15 minutes, and I'm just going to have to move on and finish this podcast. So apologies if that's happening in the background. When can we do an Ask Hodder Anything, but it's just me asking you dumb shit for an hour? Bro, I am in 150%. You want to come on the show and basically interview me and just ask me a bunch of really dumb shit? I am in. I'll cover any topic. I don't care. Let's freaking do it. Oh, God. When you think of America, what's the first thing that comes to mind? America! Fuck yeah! Coming again to say the motherfucking day, yeah, America, fuck yeah, freedom is the only way, yeah, terrorists, your game is through, 'cause now you have to answer to America, fuck yeah. That's what comes to mind the second anyone says the word America. And that is a joke, by the way, folks. I know that's not all what America is. I mean, I think of my friends in the States for sure. Yourself included, obviously, Tim, all the homies I got down in the States. And that's really pretty much it. I guess cheeseburgers and freedom. I don't know. I guess, yeah. Eagles. I don't know. I'm just being silly. But I think about all my homies, basically, is the first thing that comes to mind when I think of America, right after I think of America, oh fuck yeah, lick my butt and suck on my balls. Yeah, that whole thing. It's just the best. It's the absolute best. I love it so much. I sing that song to myself at least once a day. Ask if you guys ever talk to my brother-in-law, especially if you're on the Discord. Just next time you're in a conversation and he's around, just be like, yo, how often does TJ sing that America Fuck Yeah song? And he'll be like, at least once or twice a day. Like, at least. It's ridiculous. A couple more questions here left for Tim. Tim's basically booking this show, folks. Thoughts on the Pantera reunion tribute? I'm not against it, man. I don't think that Vinny would have been happy that it was happening, but what are you going to do? I think it's something that should have happened a long time ago with Zach playing guitar. He's the only guy who could have played for Dimebag. He's the only one. There's no one else in the world who should be a part of that band except for him. So yeah, anyone else and it just feels like a Phil Anselmo solo project. Like, sorry, but it does. Much love to Rex Brown, but let's be honest, it's a Phil Anselmo solo project. You know, it just is what it is. But with Zach, and Zach's obviously really respectful of the material. So was Charlie, the guy who's playing drums, who's the drummer for Anthrax. He's doing a great job too, from videos I've seen and stuff. If they came through, would I see them? Maybe. I don't know. It's hard to say. I've never been a humongous Pantera fan, like, honestly. So I don't know, but I'm not against it. I think it's really cool what they're doing. If you want to talk about a tribute that's doing something I think is even cooler is what Static X are doing, man. It's really cool and tasteful what they're doing, I think. Some people disagree, but yeah. Releasing some new music where they basically took stuff that Wayne had worked on and like put his voice over top of it and like just re-recorded the guitars and stuff so they'd be a little cleaner. I think it's really tasteful. Project Resurrection, the mysterious person who's Zero, who is the singer now, he's doing a really great job. I think we all know who it is. But it's, it's cool. It's a lot of fun. I really like what they're doing. Big shouts to Static X, and also Dope, because they're a great band. Ed So Dope is a god of the new metal world. Were you a WCW or WWE guy? So I was a WWE guy. I missed the Wrestling Wars, Tim, by a year or two. I didn't really start getting heavily into wrestling until 2002, 2003. So I kind of missed all that, man. It sucks a little bit, but it's not really that interesting for me. I'll go back and watch some WWE stuff, but WCW stuff, but it's kind of is what it is for me at this point. I'm definitely more of a WWE guy, though. A lot of WCW stuff was just wrestling, old wrestling, and I was just, I like it and enjoy it, but at the time, I would have been a WWF guy for sure. Thoughts on the BeeGees? Listen, man, here in your arms, I found my paradise, my only chance for happiness. And if I lose you now, I think I would die. Is one of the hardest love song verses I have ever heard. More than a woman to me, more than a woman to me. Banger. Absolute freaking banger of a song by the BeeGees, More Than a Woman. So yeah, I got love for the BeeGees, man. Can't hang out on the BeeGees. Last question we have here from Tim. What's your favorite country music song? Well, right now it's Someone by Aaron Lewis because that song made me cry. As far as my favorite overall, though, damn. I don't know if I have one. There's not one that I can think of that comes to mind. Honestly, there's a lot that I do like. Man, Humble and Kind by Tim McGraw is pretty freaking great. But I think if I had to pick a favorite just because of the sentimental value, Humble and Kind is important because I danced with that with my mom at the wedding. But Beautiful Crazy by Luke Combs was me and Sam's first dance song. And I love that song. And I love Luke Combs. Man, that guy's voice is just incredible. Just incredible. I absolutely love it. But then also, I also really like Bring Down the House. Can't remember the name of the guy who does it. But I love that freaking song as well. But probably Beautiful Crazy by Luke Combs. I'd say it's probably my favorite country song. And then pretty much anything by Aaron Lewis. that whole Sinner record, I love that freaking record, man. It's absolutely incredible. So the last batch of questions we have here is from my boy Eric. And he would like to know, where do you see yourself in 5 years? 10 years? In 5 years, I would like us to be out of where we're living into a apartment that has nice natural sunlight and has a balcony of some kind and a backyard maybe. I would like to think that I'm in a much more steady job and I'm getting steady full-time hours. And basically, I want to be stable because right now, we're kind of not really stable. We're stable as far as I have Sam. Sam has me. We have our family, our friends. All that stuff's good. It's the other stuff, the not so important stuff, but it's unfortunately important so that you can continue to have a roof over your head. In that side of things, we're kind of not super stable right now. But when we get back from our little trip, where some things around that are going to change. So I'm really excited about that. And in 5 years, I hope that I'm still doing this show. I hope that Tape Shepherdation takes off. And I'm hoping that I can maybe be making a little money doing all that stuff. That'd be really cool. And then in 10 years, I want us to be living in a house. Probably one that we're renting, if we're being honest with ourselves. But I want a backyard. I want space. I want to have everything that we want in a home. We'll probably have a couple dogs, a few cats. And otherwise, I don't know. I don't know what's going to be happening in 10 years. I like to, to think that I'm hopefully still doing all the stuff that I'm doing and that I've just found some success with it. But I don't know. But in 10 years, for sure, I'm hoping, fuck me. By then, I'm going to be in my 40s. So I hope that we have some stability from a work standpoint and that we're living in a house. That's my pretty basic 10-year fucking goal. And I also want to have traveled quite a bit more in those 10 years and in the 5 years too, by the way. What is a little known fact about TJ that you don't mind sharing, of course? I always talk pretty openly about my learning disability. I would say that, but I talk about that quite a bit. Oh boy. I'm always really open with everybody and you guys. So, I'm trying to think of something. It's kind of a negative thing. What is the only thing I can think of? Lately, I've been pretty open about it, but I have always dealt with some pretty serious confidence issues and imposter syndromes and anxieties and stuff. As I'm getting older as an adult, my anxiety is getting a lot worse. And I think that's pretty normal with the state of the world and everything. But I guess just I don't talk a lot about my confidence stuff and my imposter syndrome that I deal with a lot. That's all I can think of, man. And I've kind of talked about that recently, but sorry, I don't really have anything. That's I really like cheesecake. I don't know, man. Anytime I go to a restaurant for the first time, I always order a burger. That's like my standard, no ifs, ands, or buts. I'm going to order that every single time because if the burger's good, everything else is probably going to be pretty good. So I guess, I don't know. There you go. There's some stuff about old TJ, I guess. What's your favorite emoji? The poop emoji and the microphone emoji. I'm tied between the two. Probably the microphone emoji, but I think the poop emoji has more use. So, there's that. I also really like, there's this new one that's like someone saluting. And I use that with Sam like all the time for random dumb shit. What fictional character do you see yourself as mostly? Damn. I was trying to think of something funny, but I got nothing. In all seriousness, probably Peter Griffin, if I'm being really real with myself. Because in a lot of ways, I am Peter Griffin from Family Guy. So there you go, I guess. Let's say Aaron from episode 4, season 2 of Baseline Feed, Widow's Walk. Shout out to the Baseline Feed crew. What is your favorite Star Wars moment? Duel of the Fates. I mean, come on. Episode 1, Duel of the Fates. Get the fuck out of here. But also a quick runner-up from that is probably the Revenge of the Sith duel on Mustafar between Anakin and Obi-Wan. I mean, that's some shit, man. That's the duel. It is just, it's just the best. And it's also emotional and, it's just really, really good. I love it. Random throw out there. My favorite moment, I have 2 favorite moments from the Lord of the Rings series. One of which is the Rohirrim charge at the end of the Battle of Helm's Deep. Gives me goosebumps and makes me cry every single time I watch it, still to this day. And then the other one is the scene from the first movie, Fellowship of the Ring, with Boromir trying to fight off the Uruk-hai army by himself, basically, to try and save Merry and Pippin. That's it's some heavy shit. I love that scene. I think that's one of my favorite scenes in Lord of the Rings. If anything, probably the Boromir scene is my favorite because, like, you want him to win so badly because he realizes he had just freaking almost done something horrible. And then he realizes it and he's like, oh my God, like, Frodo, please, no, I'm sorry. Like, he realized what happened. Like, he got himself out of the darkness, trying to take the ring from Frodo and shit. And then basically he sacrifices himself desperately to try and save Merry and Pippin. It's just, it's fantastic. I love that kind of storytelling. Absolutely fantastic. I knew you didn't ask for that, Eric, but there you go. This little unsolicited thing. Last couple of questions here. What's something you and Sam always see eye to eye on no matter what? So I'll give you two things. Number one, the love and care of our animals, meaning like the way we both see it, there is no expense too great for our animals to take care of them. There's no, oh, like it's a dog that's too far or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like we never ever, no matter what, we always agree on that. No matter what we're doing, both of us will stop and look at each other and laugh if we ever see the number 69 anywhere. Like anywhere. Doesn't matter what it is. She'll like be walking by the thermostat and be like, hey babe, guess what the temperature is in here right now? And I'm like, is it 69? And she'll be like, it is. And I'm like, yeah. So it just doesn't matter what we're doing. We always just make eye contact and laugh about it. But we see eye to eye on a lot of things. That's why we work so well together. As far as like as life partners, we both don't worry about certain things a lot, you know, in a good way, meaning like we don't get super caught up on like, oh, our apartment has to be fucking spotless all the time, which is weird because I clean for a living, but I don't like my apartment to be fucking spotless. It stresses me out. It also stresses me out when it's fucking an absolute write-off, but like it's clean. It's, let's say, organized chaos. Let's just say that. So we both see eye to eye on that. We see eye to eye on a lot of things. Issues that can come up in a relationship. We don't disagree a lot. Yeah, pretty much you name it, we agree on it, which makes things really easy. We both go out of our way to make sure that we are looking after ourselves as far as if someone's not feeling well, you know, we pick up the slack for the other person if we can, obviously. You know, if someone's hurting or whatever, or, you know, we try to, you know, like if I come home and I tweak my shoulder or whatever and I'm in a lot of pain, she'll try to go out of her way to make sure she's helping me a little more than stuff I would normally maybe do for myself. Even just something as simple as like, I usually clean the cat litter box in the morning. That's like one of my jobs. And she'll know if I'm like particularly sore that day, she'll take care of it. Just little things like that. But anyway, I'm getting all sidetracked here, but hopefully that answers that question, Eric. Would you give Morty a hug for me? Where is he? Oh, he's in the bedroom. But I was going to grab him and hug him, but Sam's sleeping right now, so I would have to wake her up to get him. So I apologize because I was going to hug him live on the air, but I will hug him for you. I promise, Eric. I will give him a hug. I will take a video of me hugging him and send it to you as soon as I can. I promise. And last but not least, why do you hate me when I show you nothing but love? I think this is a quote from Scrubs or something, I guess. I never watched Scrubs, so I have no idea. Eric, I love you, buddy. You're one of my favorite people I've met in this internet journey and podcasting journey of mine. And I truly mean that. And you're one talented son of a bitch. So thank you for those questions, Eric. And thank you everybody for all the questions. That was a lot of fun getting to dive into some stuff here. Big thanks to Tim and Eric, who, I mean, Tim basically booked this shit. Let's be real. He is the Vince McMahon. That's an inside joke, folks. But hope you guys enjoyed it, just like how I hope you enjoyed this episode. It was a lot of fun getting to dive into these questions. I always enjoy it. And honestly, this is really one of my most requested like formats of the show, which is kind of weird because I don't think that I'm that interesting, but people want to get my opinions and thoughts on stuff, I guess. I don't know. I think it's a little strange, but I always have fun, so fuck it. And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to share it and leave us a like on social media if you can. It means the world to me, and I seriously appreciate it. And if you would like to support the show a little more, you can do so by going on the Patreon, www.patreon.com/The Hodder Show, and joining up for as little as $1 a month and help support the show. I'm looking at reaching a goal of $100 a month. And once I have that for 2 months straight, regular, I'm going to have some cool stuff coming. So something to think about if you want to help support the show. But as little as $1 a month will get you a shout out on every single episode of the show at the end of the show. Anything at $5 or above will get you access to the Taped Trepidation Horror Narration podcast over there, which I just uploaded a new episode of today as I'm recording this. And there's been a lot of cool episodes. There's been a couple shorter ones, which, by the way, folks, for those of you who are patrons, I know the last 2 episodes have been pretty short, but they were 2 creepypastas I really, really wanted to share with you guys because I love them so much. But be rest assured, the next episode, it's going to be a long one. It's going to be at least, long for Taped Trepidation. Usually, I think the longest episode I've ever had is 20 minutes. This one's going to be 20 minutes, half an hour. And then there's another one coming up that's going to be almost an hour. So just stay tuned. I like shorter horror myself, like narration and stuff like that. That's just what I like. So that's what I tend to lean towards more. I'd rather have something that's short and I love and immediately I'm like, fuck yeah, than a hour-long story that's meh, myself personally anyway. But anyway, just wanted to throw that out there. But one thing you'll also get if you join at the $1 tier or above is a shout out on the anniversary episode of the show, which I'm going to do right now as I give a shout out to all of my Patreon supporters, my hotheads. We have Scott Duquette, Ronan Komori, Wolf Delta Pi, both of which are of the Baseline Feed podcast, Eric Phones, who of course had some wonderful questions on this episode, Mike Quintero from Shudder Radio, Jason Reese from Jaybird Digital Arts, Brandon Bowden from Bowden Voice, Neil Skarupa from Neurotic Voice, and last but absolutely not least, Mr. Ian Hill. Thank you guys so much for all the support. It seriously means the world to me, and I can't thank you enough. With that, I'm going to sign off here today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll catch you next time right here on The Hodder Show. Take it easy, guys.